wherever.
Okay. Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you to the organizers for inviting me to comment on a topic that is not just important, but I would say critical to the world. We've listened to a lot in the previous panel and to this one, and in this one. And maybe what I can do here and what I can bring as a general comment is, if I'm not mistaken, I'm the only researcher in these two panels. And in these moments, research is extremely important in making us understand the facts behind the policies. So maybe I'll just bring in a couple of things that we know from research. And before I do that, I just want to say it's really an honor to do this in a conference where at least two Nobel Prize-winning economists have reminded us of two very important things that we now know. One is that we cannot solve any of these problems just by looking at GDP. It's much more than just GDP. And the other is that institutions matter. And I think we really should pay tribute to Daron Acemoglu for reminding us constantly of that. So what do we know about the connection between population movements and peace from research? I think we know three very important things. That it is conflict and lack of peace a source and a root cause of movements. It is a phenomenon that occurs during the movement, and I think anyone who has worked in this field knows, while people are moving, we have an increased incidence of conflict because of lack and scarcity of water, of food, of jobs, of family. So it is a phenomenon of peace during movement, and it is many times, unfortunately, a result. As competition for arrival occurs, as trafficking gets involved, as gender violence occurs upon arrival. So insecurity and peace is very much linked to the bad management of population movements. Research also has told us, and I think it's been evidenced by everyone who spoke, that we have to prepare for new root causes of population movements. Today we're talking about climate refugees and climate migrants, terms which don't officially exist yet at a global acceptable level. 10 years ago, we had some foresight about this, but we were not sure this would be what we would be talking about. Today, we are witnessing phenomena like women rights induced movement. Women are moving within states and across states because at times they have no access to their health and reproduction rights. This could be the next thing that we're looking at in 10 years. So what we also know from research is we have to be prepared, we have to have foresight, we have to integrate these thoughts about the future in what we do today in our policies. And I think this was mentioned in the previous panel by the speaker from the International Red Cross and Red Crescent, that we have to be prepared, we have to integrate foresight in our policies. And finally, as many on the panel have said, and before, research has unfortunately taught us that threats are intrinsically linked between them, and they compound each other. And so where we have at the moment the biggest population movements, we also have the biggest incidence of conflict, the biggest levels of state fragility, the biggest levels of lack of access to water and food. And that's, if we look at a map, if we were to put every single threat that we can think of on a map and see what gets red, the more the threats are compounded. South Asia, Central Africa, and I have to say, because I lived in Latin America for a very long time, Western South America, Venezuela, 7 million refugees and still counting. So I think research is important in connecting all these dots from those very impressive speakers that we have heard this morning. And maybe to finish on a positive note on everything you have said, the connection between facts, research, and the policy making, which also has a lot to do with countering disinformation and countering fake news, which also induces lack of democracy and populism, but also technologies. New technologies and public-private partnerships are offering a lot we can do in this field, as in every. So I will leave my thoughts there because I'm just the commentator here. It's really an honor to listen to everyone, and I hope this can be food for thought that several of us take home to work with on these very, very complex phenomena.
Elena, thank you very much. Excellent.